You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion, delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest and first-timer on Ron Siegel Radio, Michael Hausam, Coldwell Banker Realty. Welcome.
Thanks so much for having me, Ron. It's a privilege and an honor.
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you, if you ever have any more finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Well, I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or a plan to save you money. I personally work with you, even if you don't have any needs today. Save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, we are celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. What are we going to celebrate today? You know, today having beaten anorexia might be a good one for me, but let's take a look at this. National Children's Craft Day. Wonder if my grandson knows about that one. Write down your story day. It's called Short Story for me. Learn about Butterflies Day.
It is what it is.
Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff, Josh. National Potato Chip Day. You know, I've never found a potato chip that I don't like. Well, except the ones with jalapenos on them. That jalapeno flavor. I'm not a big fan on spicy stuff. So Potato Chip Day, I like that one. Go there. And I think my friends over at Polly's Pie like today because today is National Pie Day. Now, I get it. They're calling, if I remember my days in I don't know, high school or college or wherever I was learning about all these things that, I didn't really remember. College, there's a reason why I didn't remember them, but that's a whole different story. Pi, 3.14159266539. I think it goes a little further than that. And if you think I remembered that, I got Google. I don't need it. But I do know where to get pie. And today is PIE Day as well over at our friends at Polly's. I think they're giving away pie today. So I might, if you want to find me today, I'll probably be there at some point during the day. I'm sitting there drooling. I better get back to doing a radio program. Let's take a look and see what's the market doing today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 369 points. S&P 500 is up 68 points. The NASDAQ up 246 points. Oil is down 84 cents a barrel, 73.96 a barrel on oil. 10-year Treasury going up, although it was up higher earlier in the day. We'll talk about the inflation numbers in a little bit. But the 10-year Treasury at 3.658, it was pushing 4 about a week ago before the banks were doing so wonderful, Ms. Yellen. Oh, talk about somebody that has no clue about what's going on in the world.
You know better than that.
I think, when she was the chairman of the Federal Reserve, she had no clue about what was going on. So that's why she got promoted or moved over to the Treasury in the Biden administration, because the key word of the Biden administration is clueless. Unbelievable. But, the president's coming to visit us today. He's going to be talking probably about guns and probably about how great he's done in his administration and how great gas prices are doing. He'll probably tell us that. Wonder when the last time was that he put any gas in a car. Well, wait a second. It might be the Corvette that was in his garage. He might have put gas in that. I don't know. Hunter might have done that for him when he left the payment. Hunter didn't leave payments for him. No, they wouldn't have done that at all, would they? But in any event, let's take a look at gas prices. $4.93 a gallon here in California. $4.93 a gallon. Do we really want to look at what the numbers are historically going backwards? Do we want to look at what they were when the president took office? I don't know about that. Yeah, a year ago, what was the gas prices a year ago? Let's take a look. I'm trying to, you put in California on this thing, and it does, even the system doesn't like it. Current average, it says 490.5, although I just told you that that's a little bit low. 493 is the real number there, but we'll go with it anyway. Yesterday, 491, so we're up another 2 cents. A year ago, 574. So I'm sure the president, when he's here today, will tell us gas prices are down 80 cents because of his policies. Now, his policies basically are what brought it to $5.70. So now they're down to $4.90. And remember when they went $5.70, it was Putin did that. Now, has anything changed between Putin and Ukraine in that time period? So I guess Putin has nothing to do with them coming down, but he has everything to do with them going up. Of course, then again, the banking collapse yesterday, which Miss Yellen told us on Friday was not going to happen. I guess she doesn't follow any of the markets. Of course, Jim Cramer said the same thing, but I'm not going to go there. But the bottom line here is it's policy decisions that are causing a lot of these problems, and we're just not watching the policy. Let's run around the board here and see. Josh, you're at 434, going back up again there in Nevada. Jody, our processor, at $3.89. Yeah, she puts a 3 in front because she's in America. I'm sorry, she's in Arizona. Brittany is at $3.95. Are we getting it? Josh, I think we're being left out here. We got 4 handle, and they've all got 3 handle. And our tremendous underwriter, Lori, $3.10 a gallon. $3.10 is what she's paying for gasoline right there in Louisiana. $3.10 a gallon. Now, if you ask Lori, it's because she's in Louisiana. And that's about the only thing that's good in Louisiana. Thankfully, our show is not broadcast in Louisiana. Well, I guess the YouTube replay is. But in any event, what else is going on in the world? Well, I tried to explain yesterday. I'm going to do a video today. I'll probably do that later today on all of these things. What happened with the banking? Why is that collapsing? And what is the bailout that's coming? Yes, I use the word. The president doesn't want to, but the word is bailout. So what's going to happen to save the banking sector from what they've been doing? Facebook user, thank you. If you're, I'm just watching the notes here. If you want to comment, if you want us to know who you are, I can call you a user or Facebook, whatever you want me to call. But if you go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, we'll actually know who it is that's commenting. I appreciate that. Down from the Biden high. Now, the question I would throw out there when we talk about the Biden high, are we talking about gas prices or are we talking about Hunter? I don't know what he means by Biden high, but in any event. So what's happening with these banking and how are they solving it? Well, the thing I told you yesterday that I really liked that the president did that they did not do in 2008 and 2009, I like the idea that if you take too much risk and you leave the company, you lose your job. If you do well, you get rewarded handsomely. If you fail, there are consequences. Stockholders, you invest in a company that has poor management, like Silicon Valley Bank, who had no risk officer for 7 or 8 months when the markets were tanking, no risk officers. Well, you know, if the bank does well, you're rewarded as an investor. If the bank does poorly, you lose. So the president said the management will lose their jobs. Investors will not get their money back. The people who were the depositors, even though they should have known better, I mean, it doesn't take rocket science. It doesn't take anybody beyond, I was going to say a 7th grade education, but we're in California, beyond a college degree to know that the banks are insured to $250,000. So if you put more than $250,000 into any given bank, get private insurance. That's the issue right there. But what's going to happen now is all those risky investments that Silicon Valley Bank had, $80 billion. Well, I think what's going to happen is the Federal Reserve is going to buy them back from the bank, making them whole. That's called quantitative easing. They do it under the board, so no one really knows what's going on. And that's the whole issue there. But I digress. We do a home and finance radio show. Got to give you a little bit of the insight there. But I did share with you yesterday that mortgage rates would be dropping. They did. They've gone up a little bit today, but they have not given back anywhere near what the benefits were yesterday and Friday. And I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of that to come. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, an expert gives you clarity in today's housing market. We're going to go over that. We're going to chat a little bit. We've got going to talk about how do you get your offer accepted in this market? Can you compete against cash offers? What about multiple bids? Are we going back there again? We'll talk about that as well. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, it's 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, shame on you. But the replay is available. Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you can retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis, rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
Are you paying rent because you cannot afford to live in your dream home? Are you paying rent because you don't believe you have the down payment funds to purchase your own home? At Siegel Lending Team at ronismylender.com has up to $25,000 to help qualified people purchase their own home at amazing interest rates. Contact the Siegel Lending Team today at ronismylender.com. Again, ronismylender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037. ronismylender.com.
Homeowners over the age of 62 are taking back financial control after retirement with reverse mortgages, and the Siegel Lending Team is here to help you use it to your advantage. Call Ron Siegel with Geneva Financial to receive your free information booklet with no obligation. The booklet answers all your questions, and the best part is you still own your home. Call Ron Siegel at 1-800-306-1990 or visit ronsiegelradio.com.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. ronismylender.com. Again, ronismylender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan. Geneva has got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. Now remember, they just tell us what the rate is. They do not tell us anything about points paid, points received, APR, any of that good stuff. We just have the raw data from OBMMI for yesterday, March 13th. 30-year conforming loans were down on the day. 6.537 was the interest rate locked. 30-year jumbo, 6.479. FHA, 30-year, 6.462. 30-year USDA. No down payment generally. And those are out in the rural areas, 6.509 yesterday. And wow, the best loan on the market for those that earned it, that would be the 30-year VA loan, 6.158. That was down yesterday as well. Now let's take a look and see the real reason that you tune into Ron Siegel. Oh, let me give you a couple other numbers, and then I'll tell you why you tune into Ron Siegel Radio or why you should be tuning into Ron Siegel Radio. So we're looking right here. The S&P 500 is now up 69.57. 10-year Treasury is up 12 basis points today. Remember, it was down a lot yesterday. The mortgage-backed securities up 36 basis points. Remember, the yield on the bond means the price. When the yield goes up, price goes down. So when we're looking at the bond on the mortgage-backed security and it's down 36 basis points, that means the yield or interest rate is up this morning, but hasn't given back nearly the amount that we gained over the last couple of days. The question becomes why? Why is this happening? Well, this morning we got the CPI report. February Consumer Price Index report showed that overall inflation increased by 0.4%. Year-over-year inflation declined from 6.4 to 6%. Both of these figures were in line with expectations. Inflation has declined a third from the high of 9%, but still remains too high. The main focus is the core rate, which strips out food and energy, those people that don't need to eat and don't need any energy. This is the number that you're going to be looking at. Increased by 0.5%, which was 1/10 hotter than expectations. Year over year, core CPI decreased from 5.6 to 5.5. The year over year rate was in line with estimates. The president will probably come out today and tell us that there is no inflation. We'll have to explain this to him. Shelter costs, that's the big issue. Accounted for more than 60% of the total increase in CPI, and it's old data. We've talked about that before. Shelter rose by 0.8% and is now up 8.1% year over year, which is an increase from the previous 7.9%. Rents rose 0.8% last month and are now up 8.8% year over year, which is up from 8.6%. Owner equivalent rent, which tries to capture the rise in home prices but does a bad job of it, rose 0.7% and is up 8% year over year, up from 7.8%. While the CPI shelter costs are still catching up and adding inflationary pressure, real shelter costs have been coming down. Surprise, surprise. Because shelter makes up 43% of core CPI, it was the main cause of the 0.5% monthly gain. But imagine when this catches up and starts to add to the deflationary pressure. We know that real shelter costs are up 3% year over year. They're reporting 8.1%. If this were caught up, and because shelter makes up 43% of the core index, core CPI would be, are you ready for it? Do you want me to give you the real number? Will it surprise you if I tell you what the real number is? I've got a drum roll here, and I think we're going to get that in. Are you ready for this? Now I got to find where the number went to. Core CPI would be at 2.2% lower, or 3.3%, not 5.5%, 3.3%. Point being, this is coming at and disinflation is in the pipeline. The question is, when will it get caught up? And when will the brain surgeons at the Federal Reserve understand this? It's just amazing how they don't get this, and the media doesn't hold them accountable to it. And maybe some of them will actually listen to Ron Siegel Radio. We need that to happen so that they can catch a clue. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at, hey, by the way, this is going to mean, like I told you, May 10th, that's when we're going to start seeing a dramatic decrease in home loan rates. So if you're thinking about it, now's the time to get started. Why? Because if we need to help you get some strategic changes to your credit report to get it reporting correctly, and we have some time to do that, and we'll get you that low rate. Give us a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You got a phone, don't you? Make the call. So let's chat with our guest, Michael Hausam, Coldwell Banker Realty. Good morning.
Sorry, Ron, just 1 second. I'm distracted. I got an email here. It's letting me know my piece of the bailout for Silicon Valley Bank. I'm trying to wire the money right now. Hold on. Sorry, what did you say?
There you go, right? I mean, you're going to get to do that. It's going to...
It is what it is.
It's funny how my wallet ends up being what the federal government's using to reimburse those guys for risky investments. Anyway, whatever.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, nothing easier than spending the other fella's money, apparently.
My wife says the same thing.
Yeah.
Although that's a whole different story. But in any event, let's chat about real estate.
Let's do it.
So tell me a little bit about your background. How long have you been in the real estate world?
So quite some time. I first got into the business in 1991, right out of college on the mortgage side. So I did my first loan 32 years ago. Let's just say I was still getting haircuts.
Wait a second. You and I both have this hair. We're both follically challenged.
Just a bit, right? So then I added the real estate piece about a decade later. So the real estate license issued, I think, in 2001, so 22 years ago.
Wow.
So now I still maintain my NMLS license, the team that brokers loans. I'm a broker associate with Coldwell Banker. So it's not just the salesperson's license, it's the broker's license, but there's
that means you're a smart guy.
Yeah. And then, well, no, it means
you test well.
I just took the tests. Okay.
Okay.
And then I've also had my general contractor's license for 20 years as well.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Do you do contracting too?
No, I mean, I used to, and here and there, but it's more something I maintain as a service to my selling clients and even my buying clients as well, that when I've got a home inspection or an issue on a house, I want to be able to understand the conversation that I'm having. So it's part of my efforts to add value beyond the fact that a simple salesperson's license, frankly. Interesting.
And boy, to me, that would be enormous, because I've imported over 1 million screwdrivers, but I don't know which end to use. But I have a handyman that comes in and changes light bulbs for me because I've broken so many.
Well, that's frankly an irony in that I'm the exact same way. My brother can fix anything and redid his kitchen himself this past year. You joke about the light bulb. I'm literally the same way, that I ask my designer which light bulb color to use, and I read the instructions. And my folks thinks it's hilarious that I have a contractor's license. So I'm not a hands-on contractor at all.
So you know how to do it. You don't do it, but you know what needs to be done.
That's exactly right.
But you test well.
But I tested okay. I tested just above the line.
That's all that it takes, right? They don't.
Exactly.
I've never gone into a doctor's office and seen the GPA on their diploma.
No, not at all.
Right? They just says they passed. Some of them even know what they're doing.
That's right. And you want to know, dude, can you fix my shoulder?
Exactly.
I don't care what your GPA was. Can you fix my shoulder?
Make it work.
Yep.
That's the whole bottom line.
So that's my background. And my focus now is 99.9% on helping buyers and sellers with real estate. The mortgage stuff, the contracting stuff is just all an effort to undergird and support those efforts.
Cool. We like that. So one less one less loan officer is competing with our team.
Exactly.
So
Right.
speaking of competing though,
Mhm.
because right now and you're in Orange County, right?
That's right.
So right now, I mean, I hear so many places where people are doing cash offers. You seen a lot of cash offers?
Yeah. In fact, I just helped buyers close a house in Costa Mesa a week ago Monday. It's my most recent closing. And we were, little kind of, well, the price range wouldn't indicate it, but it would be described as a starter single family, 1,250 square foot, 3-bedroom home. There were 8 offers on that house, at least one of which was an all cash offer.
Wow. So starter home in Orange County, California. What does a starter home in Orange County, California cost?
About $1 million.
$1 million.
Yeah.
Wow. So you got to have a good job for that. Either
Or a
that
couple
or
of good
rich parents.
jobs. One of the two or 3. Yeah.
Nice trust fund.
Yeah.
I don't have any of those. But in any event, so how did you win that? How did you win that transaction?
So that's a really good question. And when I meet a buyer, that's one of the very first, or a potential buyer, that's one of the first things that I suggest to them is the system and strategies that I developed over time are designed to either save money on the purchase price or to potentially compete against an all cash buyer. So one of the key parts of that, a listing agent isn't hired to get a signed contract. A listing agent is hired to actually sell a home.
That makes sense.
Right? It's the closing that they get paid on that they get hired for. So one of the things that I help a buyer think through when we sit down and have an initial strategy session are what are the things that we can do as a buyer to increase the seller's certainty of us closing the transaction. So it's one thing to just offer money. It's a completely different thing to convince them that a successful closing is going to occur. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Because there's so many times that the successful closing doesn't occur. And there's so many areas that can fail.
That's exactly right. So that's one aspect, is there are things that can be done well before even an offer is submitted to begin to communicate with a listing agent and a seller as to the quality of the team that's going to be coming at them to increase the certainty of closing. Second thing is, and as you know this,
hang on one second. We're
sure.
going to get that when we come back.
Yeah, let's do it.
You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, the second thing Michael's doing to help buyers get that home that they want. We're going to also talk about an expert gives you clarity in today's housing market. We'll get to more. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694552.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, the real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Visit rsrhomescout.com, rsrhomescout.com. An expert gives you clarity in today's housing market. The housing market has been going through shifts lately. That's why it's so important to work with an industry professional who can be your guide throughout the process. A real estate expert uses their knowledge of what's really happening with home prices, housing supply, expert projections, and more to give you the best advice. Someone who can provide clarity like that is critical right now. Jay Thompson, real estate industry consultant, explains, and I quote, "Housing market headlines are everywhere. Many are quite sensational, ending with exclamation points predicting impending doom for the industry. Clickbait, the sensationalizing of headlines and content, has been an issue since the dawn of the internet, and housing news is not immune to it," unquote. Unfortunately, when information in the media is not clear, it can generate a lot of fear and uncertainty in the market. As Jason Lewis, co-founder and chief data officer at Parcel, says, quote, "In the absence of trustworthy, up-to-date information, real estate decisions are increasingly being driven by fear, uncertainty, and doubt," unquote. But it doesn't have to be that way. Buying a home is a big decision, and it should be one you feel confident in making. You can lean on an expert to help you separate fact from fiction and get the answers you need. The right agent can help you understand what's happening in the national and local levels, and they can debunk headlines using data you can trust. Experts have in-depth knowledge of the industry and can provide context so you know how current trends compare to the abnormal ebbs and flows in the industry, historical data, and more. Then, to make sure you have the full picture, an agent can tell you if your local area is following the national trend or if they're seeing something different in your market. Together, you can use all that information to make the best possible decision. After all, making a move is a potentially life-changing milestone. It should be something you feel ready and excited about, and that's where a trusted expert comes in. Bottom line, for expert advice and latest housing market insights, give me a call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. That is the real-time real estate segment brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Visit rsrhomescout.com, rsrhomescout.com. And I love that report because it gets right to the heart of what I talk about every day on Ron Siegel Radio. See, I can give you national data. I get all kinds of national data coming into me on a regular basis. We also have local statistics. But here's the issue. And you know that you can get our home buyer's guide and our home seller's guide. We update them every quarter. We just came out with the new ones for the spring. But here's the issue. I don't know what's going on. So we've been talking this morning. Michael Hausam is with us from Coldwell Banker. And we were talking about real estate. Now, I can tell you what's going on nationally. I can tell you what's going on in the state. I can even tell you what's going on in the city. But on the street that Michael sold that property or helped a family buy that property, I don't have that data. I would share with you another big one, and I don't know the answer to the question. I don't really go that far with it. But here, did you know that there's the right side of the golf course to have a home on and the wrong side of a golf course to have the home on? I don't know which is which, but the agents that sell golf course properties, they know that answer, right? Because I guess if you slice it, you're going one way, and if you're one's a slice and one's a draw, right?
Yes. So right-hand golfer, a slice goes off to the right.
Okay.
So you do not, and there's most of the golfers are right-handed, and most golfers slice. So you prefer to have a house on the left side of the fairway than the right side of the fairway. The right side of the fairway houses get hit far more often.
There you go. Now, I've been told that over and over again. I don't deal in that marketplace. But something, an agent, a local agent that knows the market, an expert, they know those things, right? You have to. That's your job in order to be a good consultant, right? Because I'm going to guess you probably don't try to sell anything, right?
No, people love to buy things, but they hate to be sold things.
And we can prove our point. How many people walk into Nordstrom and you walked in there to go buy a shirt, a shoe, or whatever, maybe 2 shoes, whatever. And the clerk comes up to you and says, "Can I help you?" And your answer instinctively is, "No, just looking.
Just leave me alone."
Right? Leave me alone.
Do not try to sell me anything.
Even though you walked in there for it, right? So before the break, we were talking about some strategies that you share with folk on how to get their offer accepted. We got to number 1.
Right.
And there was a second one. There might even be more than a second one, but we started to talk about
the second one, as you know, the RPA, the Residential Purchase Agreement, is now 16 pages long.
Wow.
Right? And the typical home buyer first sees the RPA on their phone when the agent has them e-sign it in order to present an offer. So one of the things, and this is another thing you probably know, that in the state of California, the residential purchase agreement is very buyer-centric, right? There are a series of contingencies that are automatically written into the contract to benefit the buyer. Pop quiz, how many contingencies are contained in the residential purchase agreement on the behalf of the seller?
On behalf of the seller?
On behalf of the seller.
None.
0. That's right. Most people don't even know that. A seller.
I was just guessing because it's California.
Yeah. Once a seller signs a contract, they are handcuffed to sell that house unless the buyer doesn't perform. But there's a series of contingencies that are written in that are essentially moving parts. So one of the things that I do before I ever go show a house, before we ever get in the cars, I sit down with the home buyer. We take a few minutes and we slowly walk through the residential purchase agreement so they understand the implications of that. But there are some things that can be done wisely to remove some of the strength on the behalf of the buyer to make the contract more seller friendly. And that is a way that you can differentiate an offer without actually changing the purchase price. For example, this is one of the things that my buyers did to beat out an all-cash offer that was higher. The all-cash offer had the typical earnest money deposit, which, do you know what that is in Orange County, Southern California?
1% or 3%. One of those are my two
Typically,
choices.
Typically the earnest money deposit is 2 or 3%.
Okay.
On this particular deal, the listing price was $950,000. My buyers were putting down $400,000.
Wow.
So I advise them to have their earnest money deposit equal their down payment. So my buyers wrote an offer that agreed to put within 72 hours $400,000 in escrow.
Wow.
So the seller's looking at 2 offers, one of which was slightly less than $30,000 earnest money deposit. The other one was a $400,000 earnest money deposit. Which one made more of an impact and which one carried more weight?
Yeah, with 400,000 is a big statement.
It's a big statement. In fact, so I learned this years and years ago. And the first time I ever did it representing an all cash buyer, the listing agent said, "Oh no," and he was kind of condescending. He said, I think you made a bit of a mistake here. You filled out the earnest money deposit to equal the purchase offer. I said, no, that's exactly what we did. The listing agent, we were doing the offer in person. The listing agent looked at his seller and said, "Oh my God, I've never seen that before." That is the kind of impact that you want to make on a seller and a listing agent to differentiate your offer.
Yeah, well, somebody comes right in there with the oh wow factor.
The oh wow factor. That's right. Now, that doesn't necessarily win the day for you, but that is one of the things that can be done that's unusual, that stacks up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what you're trying to do, is you're just trying to differentiate and get the seller to say, hey, something, maybe psychologically they might even say, something is a better offer.
That's right. That's exactly right. So, I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with the purchase price. You can get that money back. I would go through in a strategy session how that money could be at risk and when. You only do it if it's wisely done, but that is a way to make an impact that I would bet that 999 out of 1,000 offers out there won't have that kind of substantial earnest money deposit offer.
Most people are looking at it from what I see is they want to just put the minimum amount. What do I have to
protect
put?
themselves? That's right. It's a mind. How would I say it? It's a paradigm shift in order to, instead of protecting the buyer, to make an effort to make the offer more appealing to the seller. So let me give you another quick one. The typical offer is written with a 17-day loan contingency. It's pre-written right in the contract.
Right.
And in my experience, 19 out of 20 purchase offers contain some sort of loan contingency because the buyer's agent and the buyer are trying to protect themselves, right? Now, you doing what you've done forever. If you have a conditional loan approval and a fully underwritten in advance to be determined loan approval with the list of all the conditions that the borrower is going to need before closing, and you and the buyer ahead of time have walked through those or understanding that you could satisfy those conditions, do you need a loan contingency in your offer?
Not at all.
Absolutely not.
In fact, they changed the loan contract. We used to tell everybody, and I'm not a realtor, so I don't know the new areas, but I used to tell the agents, hey, once we've given you a pre-approval, pre-underwritten approval where we've got everything done, you can check box J4 on the residential purchase agreement, which said no loan contingency.
That's right.
And I think there's a separate space on the newer version.
Yes, it's actually a little clearer on the newer version.
Right, absolutely.
But what's interesting about that, and this goes back to the first point I was talking about in terms of creating a perception with the listing agent that you know what you're doing, is oftentimes when I will use the phrase conditional loan approval or a fully underwritten to be determined loan approval, listing agent will say, "Oh yeah, you got a pre-approval." I say, no.
No, that's not the
a pre-approval is the desktop underwriter and the loan officer's anticipation of the future event of an underwriter action. And every single listing agent has a story where they had a pre-approval letter and it assurances that the loan was going to get approved.
And it wasn't.
And it did. And it went sideways. But if so, oftentimes I will have to educate a listing agent that no, what we have is a fully underwritten loan approval. So my checking this box of the loan contingency not needed, I'm not checking that box because it's a competitive environment. I'm not checking that box because I think you'll like it better. I'm checking that box because I don't need it.
Right. Big important there. Great information. We're going to continue our conversation when we come back with easy for me to say, Michael Hausam, Coldwell Banker Realty. We might even get to a couple more of these ideas that Michael uses, strategies, why you should be giving him a call. Give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Hey friends, do you dream of mortgage-free home ownership? Are you aware that even if you own your home free and clear, it could still be costing you thousands per year? The Siegel Lending Team can help you generate tax-free income, accumulate family wealth, and maintain ownership of your home. By simply emailing your most recent mortgage statement, you'll receive a no-obligation real estate plan. Learn more by calling 1-800-306-1990 or email me your recent mortgage statement to PEAR@RonSiegelRadio.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you tired of paying rent? Are you tired of paying someone else's mortgage? Do you know qualified folks can potentially purchase a $500,000 home for less than $5,000 out of pocket? Ron Siegel can help qualified people purchase their own home at amazing interest rates. If you're tired of paying someone else's mortgage, reach out to Ron today at ronismylender.com. That's ronismylender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. As normal anymore with me, we talk a lot on Ron Siegel Radio, and I like to give you as much information as we can. So instead of having a segment for Your Credit Matters, I'm just going to tell you this segment or a sponsored story. I'm just going to tell you this segment is being brought to you by creditsanitizer.com. You have a credit report, it is wrong. What are you doing about it? Credit Sanitizer has these solutions for you. As I've shared many times, I started looking at credit reports back in 1980. I'm not going to even say it, but a long time ago. And best credit score I've ever seen, 834. That's the highest score I've ever seen. 850 is perfect. And even at 834, there were errors. So what makes you think your report is correct? I would venture to guess it's not. Credit Sanitizer has these solutions for you. Continue our conversation this morning, chatting with Michael Hausam, Coldwell Banker Realty, talking about maybe some of the ideas or some of the strategies that Michael uses to help sellers or buyers, was what we've been talking about this morning. The big issue is, how do you differentiate yourself? How do you win? And what can an agent do? And maybe what does that team look like? Because some of the things that Michael was talking about in the last segment, we're not going to repeat all this commentary because we want new stuff, right? Was dealing with a partnership that you have to have with, if the loan is going to be, if the transaction is going to have a loan, then you need to have a good partnership between yourself and the lender so you can strategize together, right? That makes, because you're wanting to make sure that everybody's on the same page with having that pre-underwritten loan.
Absolutely. And and that is the work that's done ahead of time. So let me give you an example. How much would you sell those glasses to me for? Can I buy those glasses off you?
Everything's got a price except my family.
All right, give me a price. How much you sell me those glasses?
$100.
All right, that's perfect. Deal. Would you give me 17 days to see if I can go wrestle up the money?
No.
No. What you would do if you wanted to sell those glasses, you should lean forward and you look at me and say, look, pal, go get the money, come back and see me, and then we'll talk.
Exactly.
Right. So most home buyers, most unfortunately lazy agents, their plan is to hopefully get a buyer in the car or to follow them around a neighborhood, hopefully find a house that they fall in love with, cross their fingers, hope they buy it with them, and then, oh, you know what? Let's go find you a loan. That is precisely the ass backwards. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. the backwards way to do that. So essential is to have a loan partner that you work with ahead of time. So want to talk about strategy number 3 that I use? So you've been doing this like me for a very, very long time. Do you now I want you to put on your rear view mirror glasses. Do you remember how offers and deals were negotiated pre-email and pre-fax machine? Do you remember how real estate was done back in the day?
You really had to talk to somebody?
It was done in person.
Right.
That's exactly right.
My understanding, and you would know this better than me, that it's still part of the, I don't know whether it's law or guidelines or ethics, that if the buyer's agent wishes to present the offer to the seller in person, that still has to be accepted.
Yes, that's part of the CRMLS, buried way deep in the requirements, that unless at
What's
the time,
CRMLS?
The California Regional Multiple Listing Service. So that's the thing that basically is from Santa Barbara south, that all of us agents are members of. If we're a member of the National Association of Realtors, that we can go on and see all the properties that are listed for sale. And it's the platform for buyers and sellers back and forth.
Okay.
So to be a member of the California Association of Realtors, I'm part of the local board here in Orange County. There are practices and ethics. And one of those things is that unless at the time the listing contract is signed and the buyer specifically requests that offers in person are not acceptable, the buyer's agent has the right to be in person when the buyer's offer is presented. Now, nobody ever knows that. Nobody ever thinks about that.
Sure.
Now, what I have found over the years is that the carrot of making reference to the bylaws, the stick of making reference to the bylaws is not functional. Hey, you have to let me do this. So there's a way to go about doing this, dealing with the listing agent. And the idea is, if I can put myself in a position to present my buyer's offer in person, or ideally, if it's now the way it used to be done, where you've got the buyer and the seller and the agents on both sides all in a room together, meeting each other, human, face to face, that is a staggeringly different scenario than just emailing over a PDF offer.
Sure. Big time. It's a huge, because you're able to find out, in my opinion, you're able to find out what the needs are of each side.
That's exactly right. And what it does so thinking about it from a buyer perspective, and it's a bit of a challenge. I have to actually train my clients on the steps that we take together to try to get us in front of a seller. And it's not easy, because the seller doesn't want that. A listing agent would prefer to control the process themselves.
Sure.
They'd prefer to have 3 days to shop your offer around town, maybe try to double end the deal themselves. Maybe they've never done it face to face before.
Okay, you're getting technical on us, Michael. Double end the deal.
Where a listing agent will try to also represent the buyer.
Okay,
to bring their own buyer.
They're getting paid on both sides.
Well, they're getting paid on both sides. That's exactly right. So and a listing agent may have made promises to a seller as to what the house will actually sell for. So they want to avoid that. However, if I meet a listing agent that's our age or older, and I suggest a meeting to present the offer in person, 9 times out of 10, they'll say something like, "Oh my gosh, that's the way we used to do it."
Right. Sure. Sure.
Right. So that's one thing. Or if it's a younger agent and they say, "Hey, can't we just do it the old fashioned way where you email me the offer over?" I'll say something like, "Look, here's the benefit of us meeting together is, number one, is you get to see us and take our temperature in person, that you actually can see who we are and understand who the party is that you're going to potentially getting into bed with over the next 3 weeks. Whereas you can't tell that at all from PDF.
Right.
Secondly, it's designed to be quick. I can summarize my offer, my buyer's qualifications. I can do it in 4 minutes. You can take a couple of minutes if you've got questions. We're right there. There's no email and maybe tomorrow I'll get back to you.
Sure.
3 or 4 minutes later, we can decide, is there something here? I've literally, Ron, put a deal together for a buyer in less than 15 minutes in person. A couple of minutes later, a couple of selfies for the Instagram. We're done 25 minutes later, opening escrow the next morning.
Makes a lot of sense.
It is. And the fact that you get these human beings together starts off the escrow in such a better place that everybody, oh my gosh, turns out that Ron used to go to the same elementary school as my brother-in-law. And that they were such sweethearts when we met, and he showed me how he picked out the color for his mom's whatever, right? And that's all done in 30 minutes. Or 40 minutes. It's not days of emailing back and forth. So everybody starts out on a so much better footing to begin an escrow.
Well, the bottom line is that we like to do business with people that we know, like, and trust.
That's right.
And if it's a PDF, I don't know you.
Not at all.
I don't know if I like you.
Mm-mm.
Therefore, I don't know if I trust you.
That's exactly right.
But if we're sitting across the table, if we come to an agreement, I've only come to that agreement is because I've already liked you.
That's exactly right.
Right? I wouldn't have come to the agreement if I didn't like you. So great information right there. I hope you come back and share some more interesting information. I mean, we only got through a couple of items here, and Josh is already telling me that I'm over my time. And they're going to turn the microphones off. So we set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean for engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.